Okay, the first resource that I'm going to be sharing is Epic. My students love Epic. Um, it is free and it's for grades K through 5. There are AR leveled books in here, which is good. There's comic books, there's read to me books, and there's audio books. You can search by grade level. On the student end of it, it's a little bit more difficult for them to search because it's a little bit cumbersome. So if they go to the AR level, they have to click up here, and it's a little bit difficult for them because they have to look at their level, and and then going through when they are on their level. This is 3.0, this is 3.1, so they tend to scroll down and just get a bit overwhelmed with that sort of stuff. There is Read to Me. Not all books are Read to Me. As you can see, this is Read to Me, but this is not Read to Me. And books can be assigned to students, which is good. You can also check on the students' daily activity with their daily reading, the student logs, assessments, and the quizzes. Now, I have found that sometimes this can be difficult for students to search. So, for example, if we're researching the rainforest and they type in the rainforest, then a bunch of books come up, but then they have to go to the reading level. And if they're at 3.0, then that will pop up, but then they want it to be read to me. So then you have to find the read to me's, and some of them just aren't um, as many pages as the other one and as the other ones, and some are on jaguars and not the rainforest, so it's a little bit cumbersome for students, I have found. And not all books are AR books, so as they're going through and as they're reading, they need to stay, if your goal is for them to read AR books, they need to stay on the AR portion of it. The downfall to this website that I have found is that there's a community that you can join, and I have found that my students tend to try and go on YouTube. Now, unless this is blocked from your admin, then students can still finagle their way onto just watching videos instead of learning. So that's something that I have found to be a little bit more difficult with this website. But there's a ton of books on here and great resources. And if you're doing, like we do, a Renaissance reading, which is where they take their tests for their AR books, it's difficult for them to switch back and forth from tab to where they're going to be taking the test in, if they're going to be typing in the name of the book. That's just something that I found, and that's for students that aren't the best at typing and have a difficult time switching back and forth between tabs. The next resource that I will share is Reading A to Z, or RAS Plus. I absolutely love this resource. I've been using it for a very long time. There are leveled books with printable resources, and you can also get the curriculum that goes with the grade level, and it has the sequence and standards. There's books by skill, topic, content area. There's graphic novels, comic humor, poetry, rhymes, songs, shared reading, trade book resources, and there's also assessments that go along with the books, as well as benchmark assessments. For the lower grade levels, there's alphabet letter naming, phonological awareness, phonics, high frequency words, fluency, timed reading. There's other skills that they can work on: comprehension, vocabulary, writing. There's also centers that you can print off, and I've laminated mine, and my students just love them. But there's the writing process, writer's response, poetry writing. You can work on handwriting, vocabulary. There's also other languages that they can work on for ELL students. There's Spanish, and then there's also French, and there's Polish, Ukrainian, Vietnamese. So it really hits all ELL students for the most part. This is curriculum aligned, and you can see the Common Core standards. And there is by skill. You can go in by look for it by skill for the grade level and the category, and you can work on a specific skill. So if you're working on orthography, you can do punctuation, comma, dash, quotation mark. I have found that there are the same books on different levels. So if you go in and search for a book, you can find a lot of books that are cross, kids can read at various levels. So you can have a higher level student reading the same text as a lower level reader. And there is just a variety of skills and resources that you can be working on. So you can do the content, different content areas, and it has graphic organizers, comprehension skill packs, visual literacy. It's just a phenomenal resource to use in the classroom. There is resource calendar that it has days that are coming up. So for Father's Day, you can click on it, and there's different books on Father's Day. Now, might be animal dads, but there is a variety of resources for different special days that can come up. You can also assign students reading. There's close reading, shared reading books, and assessments that go along with all of the books. So if you go into a book, and we'll do by grade level, so 4 to 4, and we're learning about the Antarctic, I can assign this book to my students and decide which students I want them to go to and which students I don't want them to go to based on where they're at. These do align with standards, which is really nice. And this also offers professional development. I don't know exactly, I can't remember exactly where it's at, but this does have special professional development for teachers. There's special education resources and instructional tools. There's ebooks, getting to know the student portal. It just helps you go through all of it. The downside to this is that it costs money, and some schools pay for their teachers to have this, some schools don't. In my case, I had to pay out of pocket for it and get permission from admin for me to be able to use this resource. So my next resource is Common Lit, and Common Lit is for grades 3rd through 12th. This has a huge library with various resources. You can browse by content in the library, and you can browse by grade level, genre, standards, content type, texts, target lesson, collection, supplemental units, and it's just they have so many different texts in here. And with these texts, I have found that they typically start with a video to get the students hooked. They also start asking the students questions in the lesson that they're reading. So there's guided questions, and then assessment questions and discussion questions. And as they go through this, you actually get to see what they're doing. And you get the answer key, and there's the related media, which is the videos that go along with it. There's also paired texts that you can find to go along with certain topics. I really do like this resource. The only con I have found about this is it does take, if you want more resources or more things to go along with this, you do have to pay for it, but it does offer professional development, and it's just been a great resource to have. For 3rd grade, I don't know about every single grade level, but for 3rd grade, not all standards are available as other grades are. So if I were to go into 3rd grade and I were to go to my standards, this is not all of my standards that I teach. So even if I it doesn't have all the standards. So it's a little bit, um, I wish it were better in that aspect, and it did offer that, but that's okay. It's another free resource. For the 360 curriculum, this is offered for grades 6 through 12. And I do know that one of our junior high teachers does use this for her students as well. So the next resource that I'm going to talk about is ReadWorks. And ReadWorks is free for grades K through 12. There's a various content type, reading passages, articles a day, paired text, and there's book studies, which I really like. So in my tools, if you were to search for articles that you would like to read, you can kind of save it in here. And then in my how-tos, it shows you all the ways that you can use ReadWorks, which is really nice. In assignments and progress, you'll see your current assignments, future assignments, and past assignments. This shows you how your class is doing in their assignments that they have done. The reading mindset snapshot allows you to see what your students like reading about and topics that they're interested in. This also gives you information on how they read and comprehend texts and how to choose texts for independent reading. This also shows you student progress, their overall reading, the reading passages that they have read, paired text and article a day that they have read. So this is a really good resource as well. There is various activity types that you can do. So there's different content types. You can do reading passages, ebooks, article a day, paired text, book studies. I really like the book studies because you can do of Esperanza Rising, The Wild Robot, and it gives you a good resource to go along with those book studies. You can also do audio for students that need the articles read to them. You can do full question set, express question set, inferring question set, and different things like that. You can search by grade level. You can search by topic. You can search by special collections and text type. You can do word count and Lexile level if you would like to do that as well. So under my tools, we already went through that, and I went through that. So class admin, you can create a new class. You can import it from Google Classroom. It just makes it really easy. So the downside to ReadWorks that I have found is that not all of the articles are very long, and the only reason why I say it's a kind of downside to that is my kids will start getting really involved in what they're reading, and this will be like the article. It's on Komodo dragons, and that is about it. So that's the only downside that I have found to this, but I do like that you can search by different things that they're interested in, and they do like ReadWorks. So my next resource is study.com. Now in study.com, you can search by curriculum, you can search by the standard, you can search by skills, you can search by lesson plans, videos, and assessments. There are teaching resources, there's standard aligned resources, there's worksheets, resources for students, teaching strategies, continuing education, there is professional development, social emotional learning, and lesson plan templates. There is another whole thing for professional development. So in study.com, there's various curriculum that you can search for. So if you were to go into English, and you could do elementary school, and then I would look under 3rd grade. So you can do Charlotte's Web study guide, you can do Matilda's study guide. The only thing I have found is that the amount of lessons kind of overwhelm the students. So if you were to do Sarah Plain and Tall, looking at this from a kid's perspective, this is a bit overwhelming, because then this is chapter 1 or lesson, this is chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and then so on and so forth. But there are different activities that you can do with it. There's a lesson plan that goes with each one of them, and I really enjoy it because it gives you the syllabus, and it also gives you, it also gives you videos to go along with each of them. So students really enjoy that as well. So for whatever they're doing, each thing has a video that goes along with it. And the video is typically in the first lesson, and then it goes on and on. Now, there are assessments that go along with this as well. I have found that I've had students at various reading levels, and it does not read it to them, and they get a little bit frustrated because of that. The only cons that I have found with this, other than some of these lessons being a bit too long, is that it costs money, which I, again, pay for. The platform is a bit cumbersome, just even using it as a teacher, because you have to go into all of these different tabs and, oh, hello. You have to go into different tabs and whatnot. So in that aspect, it's a little bit cumbersome just to use it as a teacher and to give it to my students. This does align. You can assign it with Google Classroom, and you can have students work on it through there. But it does give you a lot of different resources to use in the classroom, not just for ELA, but for history and math and different things like that. But again, you're looking at really long lessons, and it's just a little bit overwhelming for a lot of students. I hope you enjoyed watching my video on digital tools to use in the classroom.